Alright, so let's talk about the worst titled Friday the 13th movie, aside from Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or part 4, if you will. The title is just such a funny title now because horror movies always do this. Saw did this, Puppet Master did this, where they always have a final chapter, but then it's never the final one. It's like, you don't. Like, to me, I guess it makes sense from a marketing standpoint to go, oh, this is the final one, so you should see it and see how it ends. But then we get so many sequels afterward. It's so funny that all these horror franchises do that. And I'm not like annoyed that this is called the final chapter. I like that it has that because it makes it seem like it's not needed, but it makes it seem fun too that like because even though this movie and every other Friday the 13th movie critics hated for the most part, this one I think is just funny because it really sold a lot because fans and critics loved and hated it. And I liked how we see going into this one, they wanted it to be the final chapter. And I know I said that about part 3, and they did want part 3 to be the last one. They wanted to definitively to have that be the end, but then I think it made so much money, probably part 3, like the other two did, that they just went, we're going to make more, and we'll make a final chapter. But then 1 year later, they make part 5, so I don't know. It's funny with these films. They are just, but it's funny because it makes with the title, it makes it way more memorable in the title because you look at it and go, this isn't the final chapter, but I remember it now because it's called that, as opposed to it called being something else that you wouldn't have cared for. I think, like, if it was just called Part 4, then you probably wouldn't have thought of anything. Because after Part 3, they used subtitles too, as well. Like, this one is the final chapter. And I think this one, like I said, I don't judge these movies really on a film quality basis, but I judge them on entertainment, sheer entertainment. And this one, like the first four, is nothing less entertaining than the other ones. This one is really, really fun, just like the first four. And I think that this one, to me, is really, like, I'd say out of the first four, this one might be my least favorite out of the four, but I still love it. I still love the charm. I love the kills. I love the characters, but I like the personalities of all these characters, and I like the fun. It's just a fun movie, and I think that people like Roger Ebert, who like trashed this movie, like said it was god awful. Like, I can understand why you think it's bad, but to me, these are just so charming and entertaining, and I feel like whenever people trash these movies, I feel like they're missing the point for me personally because I think these aren't trying to be high art. They're trying to just be fun entertainment. But I also get the fact that if they say it's trash, I get it. I completely do. But to me, these are just such fun, pure entertainment. And this one is no exception from the last three. And this one, I like how it starts. This one's especially. I mean, in part 3, we had the two kills at the beginning in the gas station store where that didn't matter to the plot at all, and like it focused on the teenage kids in the cabin in the camp at in part 3. But in this one, this is the one where it really starts in the franchise to be, we are just going to bring as many characters in this, no matter how long they're on screen, and just kill them off. They're not going to be always related to the camp, like the people at the camp. It's just going to be, we're going to kill people left and right, bodies everywhere. We're not going to have them be important to the movie. They're just going to be there to be killed. And I completely get why, because this is an exploitive kind of franchise. It's just, you're here to watch these characters die. Like, it's fun and entertaining and silly. And this one especially is the one that starts where the first like 3 for the most part are just kids at a camp and they're getting killed off in the camp. But in this one, and a little bit of part 3, it starts to where it's so many other people that aren't related to them. It's just anybody Jason walks by has to murder him. Which, I mean, I'm not against that because it's fun with these fun effects. Like they're really fun. But this is the one I just wanted to point out that starts that trend of being just Jason just gets everybody he comes in contact with. And I thought that especially in part 5 it's really prevalent that like you just put on these characters 2 minutes later they get killed on screen and it's like to me I felt like it doesn't like ruin the movie because these are what they are, they're supposed to be these kind of movies, but I just think it's a funny fact that like this is the first one starting to where there are so many people just introduced 2 minutes later get killed and it's they have a build up in the other ones and it's not like an insult to the other ones, it's just like something to point out. But I really did like this one like the other ones in terms of even though it's the same movie again, it does have such fun personalities of these characters and they're so likable and interesting in by which I mean for horror movie standards like they are all tropes of these characters like the jock, the nerd, like these are all tropes that are put in, but I think all these actors they get for most of these movies just have such great personalities. Like in this one, we have a lot of actors that will go to become something big, like Crispin Glover and Corey Feldman. Like these are actors that, to me, have such a great personality in this movie, and they just really shine. And you just see them doing fun things, and I like that. I just like seeing them just live and before they die, but live and just have a fun time. And that to me is enough to say that this is really entertaining because of that, and because of the kills, of course, and the final girls in these movies. Trish in this movie, I think, is great. I think that, like she like I said, it's just like the other one. She doesn't have the connection like Chris did in part 3 to Jason. It's just she and Tommy and her mom live close to the camp and they encounter Jason. And her and Tommy, well, this one I guess is the one where it stops being just the final girl. Like the first 3, it's Alice, Ginny, and Chris are the only survivors of the movies. If you question about Paul in part 2, but it's pretty much just 1, 2, and 3. One girl, final girl, is a survivor, and then I like how in this one this starts the trend as well, where it's 2 final people, a girl and a boy, and I think that that's cool too because we have Tommy played by Corey Feldman as a kid here, and I am glad that they didn't murder off a child. I thought that was good. And I thought that it was cool having a child kill Jason. I thought that it was great that he did it. And that has repercussions in the next 2 movies, which is cool that this one starts the Tommy Jarvis trilogy where 4, 5, and 6, like 1 and 2, have a little bit of story connections. Even though they're very loosely connected. I mean, they have a plot overarching connecting, but it's not like one that connects a lot. It's just like, this happened before and this is what's happened next because of the singular character Tommy Jarvis in 4, 5, and 6 who stays in those 3 films. So I like that this starts that, and I like that these characters in this one, like the 2 final people, Trish and Tommy, I think were good, and they were good characters to end on killing Jason. Like I liked how a kid killed Jason. I liked how Trish, like I said, is just kind of like the other ones, but I thought that Kimberly Beck did a good job being this just kind of feisty like fighter at the end. Like she really tried to kill him, murder him, and then Tommy did it. But I liked how I really love the line where even like I thought it was just a well acted line where Kimberly Beck says to Jason right before she kicks off his mask with a machete, she says, "You son of a bitch, I'm gonna give you something to remember us by," because of all the shit that just happened to her, because of her mother getting killed off screen, quote unquote, apparently, and then all these other kids getting killed off, and everybody she knows is gone. And I liked that scene or that line because that really built up to that confrontation. Not like in a way where it's like amazing. It's just built up to, oh, this girl and this kid are gonna take charge and finally kill him. He's gonna be dead. They're gonna kill him in this movie, and I like that. And I love the fact that they do legitimately kill him off. He is gone. He is legitimately dead in this movie. And the first one, he's completely dead too. And I like how, even though of course these movies always contradict each other, I liked how this one said, like, in the end he is gone, he is dead. And the funny thing is, like, Jason's death, I think, is good, but it's weird because what happens is that Trish just uses a machete, slashes into his head, he falls down and his head kind of just opens up, and that's it. I thought that, like, he would get a beheading or, like, stabbed right through the chest or something that seemed more definitive. But maybe they did that because they thought maybe subconsciously, like, we'll still do these movies. And yet they did. They completely did. And I liked how this does have the cheesy charm like the other first three. And I liked how they have things that don't make sense like the first three, where, like, the Rob character, who apparently had a sister in part 2, Sandra, who died by Jason in part 2, but part 2, 3, and 4 are literally in the same week of each other. And then that Rob guy has been hunting for Jason for a while. So that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that. But I think that to me makes it more fun and cheesy, and it has a fun charm to it because of these characters, despite having stuff like that, where, like, this guy who's looking for Jason 2 days after his sister was killed, it just seemed like it was kind of implausible. But I think that gives it such a charm because it's just such a weird, like, it's not based in reality, of course. So that's why I think that it just, I take it for what it is. I think it is a fun, entertaining time, and I think this one is just as fun as the first three. And this one, to me, is great with how it ends. I liked how it ends, but I liked how it completely says this is the final chapter, but then in the very end, when Tommy Jarvis gives that stare at the camera like he is going to become a killer because he killed Jason, that to me does not make it the final chapter. I thought that was funny. But I mean, it doesn't matter anyways because, of course, the Tommy Jarvis story is started again in part 5 and 6. So it made sense, but if you're going to call it the final chapter, make it final. But still, regardless, that just makes the movie more memorable because you remember it's called the final chapter because it's not. But overall, I think it's just, again, another fun Friday the 13th film. I think that it was just a really, really fun time, again, watching it.